Hey, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday, which is otherwise known as
Hump Day! Yeah!
yeah, that's right. It's Hump Day. And this is Victory's virtual workshop, creating confidence and clarity for your financial life. So I have a client, we're going to call him Alex, and he just retired within the last few weeks. And we were all set with everything on his income, tax, and investment planning. But he called me and wanted to tune up on his healthcare options and what he should do about Medicare for he and his wife. And we found a little wrinkle that definitely caught our attention while doing that. So let's take a look at some of the ins and outs of your healthcare planning for retirement. And then I'll come back and talk a little bit more about Alex's story. So the first major challenge that retirees face is the high cost of healthcare because, duh. But according to a report by Fidelity, a 65-year-old couple retiring in 2023 can expect to spend around $315,000 on healthcare throughout retirement. That includes premiums, copays, and out-of-pocket expenses. So yeah, that adds up pretty quickly. So what we need to think about here is managing these costs. And one key strategy is obviously to budget for healthcare expenses early on. It's one of the things that we do when we create financial and investment and retirement plans for clients. But here are a few basic tips. First of all, you've got to understand Medicare. It's the primary health insurance for most retirees, but it doesn't cover everything. Original Medicare includes Part A, which is hospital insurance, and Part B, which is medical insurance, but you'll probably also need Part D for prescription drugs. And you'll want to consider supplementing with a Medigap or a Medicare Advantage plan to cover your additional costs. If you need Medicare advice, feel free to reach out to me. We've got resources, and I know some experts that can help you through the process. You can always reach me at patrick@victoryindependentplanning.com. Second up, health savings accounts. Now, if you're still working and have a high deductible health plan, you should be contributing to a health savings account or HSA if possible. Your contributions are tax deductible, and your withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are tax-free. Plus, after the age of 65, you can use health savings account funds for non-medical expenses without penalty, though you still pay income tax on those withdrawals. My pro tip of the week is not to use your HSA for medical expenses before you retire if you can manage them out of your current cash flow. Why? Because of that big number we just pointed out that Fidelity says at least $315,000 per couple that you're going to need in retirement for medical expenses. And even if you don't need them, you can turn them on as a source of income in retirement. Long-term care insurance. This type of insurance can help cover the cost of long-term care services, which are not covered by Medicare. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that Medicare has some sort of long-term care benefits to it. It really does not. So it's best to purchase your long-term care insurance in your 50s or 60s when premiums are more affordable, or you can look for alternatives like life insurance or annuities that have long-term care-like riders with them. Now, another significant challenge is navigating the complexity of the healthcare system. Understanding insurance plans, medical billing, and finding the right healthcare providers can be overwhelming, especially for older folks. So here are some strategies to simplify that process. First of all, stay informed. Educate yourself about Medicare and any other insurance options that you plan to use. If it feels too daunting, get some help. There are a lot of resources available, actually, including the official Medicare website, which actually isn't too bad for a government website, and counseling services like the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, or SHIP. And I also publish Medicare updates. So if you want to receive those via email, again, drop me a line at patrick@victoryindependentplanning.com. Now, something I learned in helping my own parents deal with medical issues is to advocate for yourself or have someone who is willing to do it for you. Don't be afraid to ask questions, seek second opinions, and be proactive about your healthcare because it can lead to better outcomes and potentially lower costs. And you have to track and evaluate everything. You've got to write down just about every time you go in and see the doctor because it's very easy to forget what you're told later on down the line. Now, to sum it up, planning for healthcare and retirement involves budgeting for your expenses, understanding your insurance options, staying informed, and then hopefully the one we really didn't talk about, which is maintaining a healthy lifestyle so you don't need as much healthcare as the average person in retirement. Okay, those are the basics, but let's go back to my story with Alex and see how his decision progressed with his healthcare and the issue we picked up on. Okay, let's take a quick look at this checklist, this week's checklist, which is, will healthcare change as I transition into retirement? Okay. Alex was not expecting to work after age 65, and he would not get health insurance as part of his retirement package. Okay. And he was not covered under his spouse's plan. In fact, it was the opposite. She was covered under his and had also just turned 65, which we're going to return to because it created an interesting wrinkle for us in this planning. Alex left voluntarily. He retired, left voluntarily and retired, and is indeed eligible for coverage under COBRA. COBRA is indeed expensive, but Alex and his wife are both high earners, and we had to compare the difference between COBRA coverage and the additional expense for Medicare premiums imposed on the high earners through the income-related monthly adjustment amount, or IRMA, which I have here on the checklist. What we found was kind of interesting, and it was about even when we compared the two. Looking at COBRA coverage versus what it was going to cost with the increased IRMA amount, it was almost about a wash. So we felt like we couldn't make a bad choice. Or could we? Because it turned out that since his spouse had already retired and had signed up for Part A, but not Part B because she was using Alex's insurance as her primary, that COBRA would not count. So we're coming down here to the checklist. Consider enrolling Medicare Part A when you turn 65. She did that. You can delay your Part B until you lose your employer-sponsored healthcare. She did that. But the question was, would going on COBRA count as employer-sponsored healthcare? And the answer was no. So if she didn't have qualified coverage, she was now looking at a penalty for delaying if she didn't enroll in Medicare Part D within 8 months of losing her healthcare plan. So that would have been 8 months from Alex's retirement date. Now, when you did the math there, it turned out that it would have been much more expensive to go on COBRA because of the penalty that the spouse would have incurred for late enrollment, and that late enrollment penalty lasts forever. So when we included that late enrollment penalty, the choice clarified for us, we needed to get them on Medicare within 8 months to save them some money, not just now, but in the future as well. Okay, so healthcare planning and retirement can get tricky. But remember, being on glide path for and in retirement starts with a smart approach, making sure your sources of income, your medical and healthcare planning, advanced planning, risk management, and tax efficient strategies, that they're all working together. If you want a copy of this week's checklist, or you need to ask questions about Medicare, healthcare, health savings accounts, or any other topic in my Smart Approach to Retirement series, again, just email me at patrick@victoryindependentplanning.com. Thanks everybody for checking in, and I will see you next week.